both at home and in the office. You are welcome, sir. Your Excellencies, Mr. Chairman, invited stakeholders, honorable members, it is my honor to invite for a remark the Chairman, Senate Committee on Primary Health and Communicable Diseases, Distinguished Senator Chukwuka Utazi. You're welcome, sir.
Yes. Thank you so much for introducing me. The representative of the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, the man variously described as a strong man at home and at home, Right Honorable Dokua, the chairman of the House Committee that has invited us here today, my brother, Honorable Sununu, and your other co-chairmen that invited us here today. I recognize my colleague in the colleague in the Senate and the chairman of Senate.
Yes, House of Reps.
Behalf of my colleagues in the Senate of the Federal Republic, that backing my colleagues in the House of Representatives in this very, very important journey they have decided to take for themselves in finding solution to the problem of the COVID-19 pandemic by way of trying to have a legal framework to guide activities of government in everything we do. We know that health is on the concurrent legislative list. The state governments have their right to do their thing. The federal government have the right to do their thing. And the local government area are going to follow from the state governors. What we are trying to do here is to set the pace, to set the agenda, have a nation, have an act that will guide the activities of the governors on their houses of assembly in having a deal to manage this issue, so that there will be uniformity in handling this issue, so that we will not be handling this issue in a staccato approach as we are doing presently. We know the Quarantine Act is that of the federal. The state government cannot legislate in that area. That one is exclusive to us here. We are handling that, and the shortcomings we have noticed in the 1926 Quarantine Act. We are trying to correct them and bring them to speed to solve the problems here. So on behalf of my colleagues in the National Assembly, we are totally behind this good effort by the House of Representatives in taking the lead. Very shortly, the Senate of the Federal Republic will be convoking this kind of a forum too, where we are going to find solution to this. This shows what Sununu and his colleagues are doing here today is to show that we are representatives of the people. We don't take laws into our hands. We want informed opinion from the society to make input into what we are doing, so that at the end of the day, we are going to have a legislation that have the national appeal, have a legislation that will satisfy the union aspirations of Nigerians and solve a problem of this nature that is before us here. So that since this sickness is coming almost like 100 years after the other, the last one we had was in 1918, to 1920. So we don't know when another century will come, and we have an issue of this nature. We are here trying to think for 400 years to come by this legislation we are doing here today. And I'm totally in support of this movement, and I want the public that are invited here to make their contribution to this effort. We want people to make their informed opinion to get things done. People who are there criticizing that it shouldn't be done in the first place, they don't understand what we do here, the essence of legislators and the legislature in the country. We have to do something, have to find solution. If you are opposed to it, bring a better opinion. At the end of the day, we arrive at a consensus and do something that will be better for all of us. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much, distinguished Senator. Quickly, may I also invite, I want to be very fast because the chairman has warned me. I don't want him to throw me out of this hall. May I quickly invite for also a remark the chairman, Senate Committee on Health, distinguished Senator Yahya Ibrahim Oloriegbe.
Thank you very much. In view of time, let me just say good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. And I stand on all existing protocol, but I particularly want to thank our colleagues and brothers, the governors of Ekiti and Plateau, as well as all civil society organizations that are here, because without citizens' participation and contribution, we cannot talk of democracy, and democracy is in action here today. The law has been proposed by an arm of the National Assembly, which is the people's representatives. And you can see the representative of the people also here. The government of the people, by the people that we are demonstrating. Suffice to say that what we are sitting here for today, we need to answer three questions. One, is there a need for the law? And I think my own candid opinion, yes. Because the Quarantine Act of 1926 is definitely outdated. And what was happening then is not what we have now. So definitely there's a need. And the need was also shown by the experiences we are having with the COVID-19 pandemic. We've had challenges, even despite the fact that there has been a lot of management. You can see there has been inter-government conflict between federal states. You can see some states not going in line with a national directive, whereas we have a national emergency. We can see some individuals challenging the authority of institutions that are there to protect life of citizens. Where an individual said, you don't have power to keep me in an isolation center, I need to get a WHO, to get a UN to come and test me, and the person is at risk. So this shows that we definitely need a law. What kind of law do we need? And that's the other question. So definitely any law that we make will be within the confine of our constitution, which will be able to safeguard not only the rights of citizens, but the right, in terms of what their right is. But as they often said, where your right ends, the others begin. The overall right is the protection of life of the citizens or anybody that is resident within the confine of Nigeria. So that law, or whatever law that will come out, must see to that. The other thing is that the law within the constitution must recognize that we're a federation, where there are powers and responsibilities allocated to different agencies. The other thing that the law will have to look at is the various structures that we have in the health sector, the role of the various agencies and how they interrelate and how they will cooperate together to deliver good service. In which law, we look at the effectiveness and efficiency and appropriate interrelationship and coordination of the system. So, and finally, of course, it must be a law that's acceptable to all Nigerians, and that's why the Constitution set out the lawmaking process, part of which is this. So therefore, it is our expectation that at the end of the hearing today, the process of the lawmaking that will satisfy all what I've said will have been achieved. I thank my colleagues in the House of Rep for inviting us to witness this, and as my co-chair from the Senate, my colleagues, distinguished as he said, definitely the Senate will also have a similar process to be able to enrich the law. Thank you very much. I wish you all successful demonstration.
Thank you so much, distinguished Senator. Mr. Chairman, Before I invite the next thing on the agenda, permit me to quickly inform our guests that this public hearing is live on the largest television in Africa, the NTA, and the multiple award-winning television, the channels, and of course, it's being streamed live on NAS TV. You can view it on Facebook, just type NAS TV, on YouTube, type House of Representatives, and on Twitter, typed House NGR, NGR in capital letter. You can also view it courtesy of the National Assembly ICT on YouTube by typing Healthcare Services of House of Reps, Nigeria. Healthcare Services, House of Reps, Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, distinguished senators, Your Excellencies, the governors here present, members of this ad hoc, members of this joint committee, honorable members here present, invited stakeholders, members of the pen profession. It is my honor and privilege to invite to the podium the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Representative Femi Gbajabiamila, ably represented here by a man who is strong both in the office and at home, the leader of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Al-Hassan Adodogwa, to please present his keynote address and declare this hearing open. Your Excellency. Thank you.
I thank God, even when I was laughing, I believe nobody noticed because I'm wearing the face mask. Whether laughing or... A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyul kareem. The chairman of the House Standing Committee on Health Services and Institutions, respectively, the chairman of the relevant committees from our sister chamber, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, institutions and services, respectively, that are here present with us, my distinguished colleagues, honorable members of the House of Representatives who are equally members of this standing committee, I would have begged to stand on existing protocol, but I'm afraid with the presence of the shakers and movers of the Nigerian politics, I can't skip to overlook the acknowledgement and recognition of the presence of the chairman of the Nigeria's Governors Forum and the chairman of my governors, the APC Governors, the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum. I'm sure you are in double today, the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum or the other governor too. You must have to be representing the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum as well. So I recognize the presence in absentia, the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, who is also my governor, the governor of Kebbi State. I believe one of you must be representing him here in spirit. Other invited guests, most especially the DG NCDC, the DG NAPDAC, President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, in person or being represented, and the representative of the Inspector General of Police. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I beg to stand on the already laid down protocols. Let me say a very good morning or afternoon, as the case may be. I stand here on behalf of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, to deliver a speech to mark the opening of this important public hearing being conducted by joint committees of health institutions, health Services, and the Committee on Justice of the Federal House of Representatives, the House of the Peoples of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I would like to say before I begin my presentation of the speech of the Speaker, for the records, that whatever I may present that is in context and in the perspective of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, my dear brothers, the press, you give credit to the Speaker. This is a very sensitive, controversial, and widely discussed matter. And if for any reason, human or otherwise, that I mispresent the Speaker here, please, I take the blame and the responsibility proudly. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, while I stand once again on the protocols established, let me begin the speech. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome you to the opening of this public hearing, and I thank you all for taking time to be here with us today. In the last 1 month or so, since the Control of Infectious Disease Bill was first brought forward for consideration by the House of Representatives, we have witnessed an unprecedented amount of engagement by a cross-section of the Nigerian public. This is, of course, a good thing for the process, for this legislative process. What we have here is a critical piece of legislation that deals with matters of public health that affect all of us, directly or indirectly. If we have learned one thing from the last few months, it is that public health issues can drastically change our lives in ways we cannot always predict, and therefore must be prepared for it. The House of Representatives is grateful for, and we welcome the enthusiastic participation of our fellow citizens in this legislative process. We look forward to producing final legislation that reflects our own best intentions, as well as the considered contributions of all people of good conscience. However, it is necessary to note at this point in time that a lot of this engagement on this proposed legislation has been ill-informed and outrightly malicious. There are those in our society who benefit from promoting the falsehood, and every government action There are those in our society who benefit from promoting the falsehood that every action from the government is cynical and every policy proposal must be the product of malignant influence. We must not succumb to the impulses of these elements of our society, and we must reject them always, as doing so is an excellent service to a nation we love and we all hold on to. This public hearing, the conversations that we'll hold here today and tomorrow, the numerous written contributions we have received and will consider as we work towards improving this bill are a bold statement of our resolve to continue to act in the finest democratic traditions as a legislative institution. The Control of Infectious Disease Bill is but a legislative proposal. It is agreed that it could be an imperfect document, as is the nature of such proposals, and we will be improving substantially through interactions with stakeholders, civil society, and citizens in pursuit of the common objective of achieving policy interventions that will enhance the well-being of the generality of the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I ask all of you who have taken the time to be here today to participate in these hearings with an open mind. I assure you, therefore, three things will be respected in the conduct of this public hearing and subsequently in our legislative consideration of this very important legislation. The first is that no part of this bill is in any way the product of any external influence. The second is that we will not ignore your contributions and recommendations, as the representative is wholly committed to refining this bill until we have a document that resolves our present health problems without creating new ones or provoking unforeseen challenges. And finally, I assure you that now and always our first commitment is to the Nigerian people, our fellow citizens, on whose behalf we hold office and in whose names we are acting. Finally, I want to thank you once again for taking time to be here with us today. I welcome you to the House of Representatives, and I, on behalf of the Speaker of the House, Right Honorable Femi Bajabiamila, hereby declare this public hearing open and committing it to the glory of God. God bless you all, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you. I think on the usual note, at this point in time, I should have to depart for other engagements. But let me seek the leverage of my distinguished colleagues, the chairman of the two relevant committees handling this public hearing, and the gentlemen that are, ladies and gentlemen that are invited. For two reasons, I would like to stay behind and be part of the beginning of this process. One, like I said earlier on, I have seen the representation of the shakers and movers of Nigerian politics. I would want to personally stay behind to hear their own take on this all-important bill under consideration. I'm sure they are governors of the Nigerian people of their respective states, and I believe they will be governors who would want to identify with the popular policies and positions of the National Assembly as an institution, so that together we operate on the same page and deliver the expected goods, especially in the public sector, for the benefit of our people. And the second reason might be on a lighter note. I will know whether I can be Speaker in the House of Representatives in the future. So now that I have the opportunity to represent Mr. Speaker here, I would like to stay behind and enjoy the leverage of being addressed as the Speaker of the House of Representatives. But I hate the way the Senate Chairman on Health Committee, I didn't like the way he introduced me. When you just said the Speaker here, if you like just say being represented, you don't have to continue to say, oh, by the leader of the House of Representatives, because I cannot, of course, occupy two positions at the same time. So I will crave the indulgences of any presenter that when he comes to recognize me here, just recognize that the Speaker of the House of Representatives is here. At least for the purpose of this event. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you. Yes.
This is a speech by the representative of the Speaker, House of Representatives, Femi Bajabiamila, the leader of the House, Al-Hassan Ado Dogwa, on the bill for an act to repeal the Quarantine Act. The bill seeks to make an improved provisions on Quarantine Act and regulations for spread of infectious diseases. Seated here are the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi, and the chairman, Northern States Governors Forum, Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong, among other invited guests.
The man who was described by Senator Ustazi as an intellectual in service, the chairman of Nigeria's Governors Forum and governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi, to please come to the podium and present the view of the Nigerian governors on this bill.
Thank you. Thank you, moderator. Let me start by thanking the chairman of the House Committee on Health, Honorable Yusuf Tanko Sununu, for the invitation to this public hearing. Your Excellency, the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, here represented by my own brother and longtime friend, the leader of leaders, Right Honorable Ado Dogwa, the distinguished chairman of the Senate Committee on Primary Health, Senator Utazi, and the Senate Committee on Health, Senator Dr. Yaya Oloriegbe, the chairman of the Senate, the Deputy Chairman of Senate Committee on Healthcare Services, my brother, Honorable Dr. Senator Dr. Samuel Adejare, other members of the House Committee on Health Care Services and Health, my brother, the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, who is here in his capacity as a distinguished member of the Nigerian Governors Forum, and not as a representative of the All Progressive Congress. In the Nigerian Governors Forum, we have governors from both sides of the divide. Right Honorable Speaker, so we are here on behalf of the Nigerian governors, the 36 of them. Other distinguished leaders who are present here, participants, I've seen the DG of NAFDAC, I've seen my president of the Labour Congress, I've seen the DG of NCDC, I've seen many people, which speaks to the importance of what we're doing here today. Our own Director General is also here at the Nigerian Governors Forum. And I'm delighted that we are given the opportunity to speak to this, having gotten into some rough weather with the House of Representatives over our concerns as expressed on this particular bill. But I want to commend the Right Honorable Speaker for dousing that tension and getting across to me. And we spoke as brothers to say we're all in this together, and our interest is to ensure that we prepare in a manner that these public health challenges, which will not stop. We pray that COVID comes to an end and a vaccine is discovered very soon to tackle it. But we know, as professionals tell us, that another public health emergency will come up in future. And what we are all dealing with here is to have a framework that would enable us address the challenges that may not have been covered in the Quarantine Act and that may also not have been fully addressed in the NCDC Act, but which would help us to deal with this pandemic in the event of another one coming up. And for us at the Nigerian Governors Forum, our position is that any disease with significant threat to public health that will require authorizing measures that may potentially infringe or otherwise reserve human liberties, the proposed measures must take into account a number of ethical considerations balancing public health against human rights. These considerations include public health necessity. The measures must be exercised on the basis of a confirmed or suspected threat to public health. It must be by reasonable and effective means. The means clearly that all must see as being effective in preventing or reducing spread. It must be the least restrictive intervention. It must aid distributive justice. It must promote trust and transparency and ensure that the procedural rights are clear to all. And in the event of the need for compensation, it must also provide for fair compensation. And any intervention seeking to provide a comprehensive legal and policy framework to ensure the effective management of cases involving infectious diseases, streamlining of public health responses and preparedness, involvement and coordination of all tiers of government, and transparency in the management of infectious diseases is a positive development that must be commended, and the effort of the House Committee and the entire House of Representatives is one that we commend wholeheartedly. I'm glad, however, that a number of caveats have come up by previous speakers, particularly Senator Utazi highlighted what may be limitations, and even Right Honorable Adodogwa also highlighted that this is really not the end of the road, it is the beginning, and we must consider this document an imperfect document. So whatever I say is not an indictment or a criticism from the Nigerian Governors Forum. It is a reflection of what we see, even as we deal with this pandemic, that it is largely local. And we have to have a response mechanism that is also local in its universality, because in dealing with it, it's a universal challenge, but there are local circumstances and local issues that would enable each state deal with it, each local government deal with it, and even the federal government deal with it differently. And so for us, there is no question that the Quarantine Act is inadequate. It's a 1926 law, so let's not even go into that debate. The question is, how do we make that, how do we organize an improvement that would then respond to the challenges of the moment? And in responding to that, let me say, governors in Nigeria over the last few months, from round about March to now, have worked very closely with the NCDC. And we can attest to the capacity, the commitment, and professionalism of the leadership of NCDC. But we would also tell you that NCDC has finite resources, limited number of staff, and in the end, it's overwhelmed by this challenge that we're dealing with. And that is why it is important that taking framework from NCDC is important as our national body dealing with public health issues, but ensuring that we capacitate local institutions would be central to it. And that's what brings me to the heart of the matter. This act and the bill, both the Act, the Quarantine Act, and even now the bill, gives governors and states very scant operational space to maneuver. And even the limited space that was given in the Quarantine Act is being taken away by this bill that we're currently considering. The bill takes away the only authority the governors have to take specific steps and measures in their domains during an outbreak of an infectious disease. A situation where state governors do not have any power to make regulations in their states in the event of an outbreak of an infectious disease, or to declare any part of the state an infectious area, is not only inimical to the country's federalism, but also a recipe for disaster which cannot be managed by NCDC. So, the situation will pose a challenge if states need to urgently make regulations to control the further spread of an infectious disease where the president is yet to do so. And we've seen that in our current situation. The president, in the COVID-19 regulations, restricted movement in only 2 states, Lagos and Ogun, including the FCT. And this would have been chaotic had this bill been in existence before this current pandemic, because the existing legislation governing infectious diseases and curbing the spread thereof. The state governors, in exercise of the powers vested in them by the Quarantine Act, have all taken steps to issue executive orders, because that is provided for in the Quarantine Act, to ensure the control and the spread of the virus in each of their states, since the regulations made by the president did not extend to the other 34 states. The only time it did was when we now advised the president via the Presidential Task Force on interstate boundary lockdown, so that the spread of the diseases could be restricted as much as possible to areas where the pandemic epicenter was at the time. So for us, we believe that there are a number of provisions in the bill that must be reviewed, and we would crave the indulgence of the Joint Committee to look into this. I have spoken about the powers, for example, and the work that the Director General of the NCDC has been doing. But we think, at the level of governors, that this bill appears to vest overbearing discretionary powers on the Director General of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control. Anyone who has read it would know what I'm talking about. And that is without prejudice, as I said, to the role that the NCDC plays and the hard work of the current leadership. But we all know, as Democrats, that it is always dangerous to vest uncontrollable powers on any one person. The bill empowers the NCDC to perform certain acts which are directly in conflict with constitutional guarantees to fundamental human rights. For instance, while Section 6 mandates the compulsory testing of persons on the mere suspicion of the Director General, Section 10(3) gives him express powers to use force to enter any premises without warrant. What is worse, the test in Section 6 will be at the expense of the person. So if you are forced to take a test, the individual is the one that must pay for the test, according to this bill, failing which he would be liable to stiff penalties. Section 15(3)(e) confers on the Director General of the NCDC the powers to authorize the destruction and disposal of any structure, goods, water supply, drainage, etc. Of course, I'm sure it is well-intentioned, but it is discretionary power that could be used without any restraint. Similarly, Section 47(1) confers discretionary power on the Director General to order any person to undergo vaccination or other prophylaxis. Under Section 70, the Director General or his agents cannot be sued even if his suspicions turn out to be unfounded. Again, Section 71 of the bill absolves the DG, any health officer he might have sent, any port health officer, any police officer, or any authorized person of any liability when acting in good faith and with reasonable care. We all now know what good faith and reasonable care means. We cannot breathe, and we know that in another country, reasonable care could also, reasonable force could mean a force that eventually kills somebody. So I believe the Honorable House would need to pay attention to this, because the use of good faith and reasonable care is not only subjective, but ambiguous, with high potential for misuse. I can go on and on, but the important point to make, and we have submitted this memorandum to the Honorable House, is that this is a well-intentioned bill, and we believe that it could very well incorporate a number of other elements, and our recommendations are as follows. 1. Provisions along the lines of Section 8 of the Quarantine Act should be inserted in the bill to allow state governors and local government chairmen the power to declare a place to be an infectious area and to make regulations, so that that power does not just reside in the Director General of NCDC in Abuja. If the governor has a reasonable fear that an area deserves to be declared an infectious area, it should be possible for that governor in the state to do that without waiting for the concurrence or directive of the NCDC. It is the position of the NGF that powers beyond those granted by Section 8 of the Act should be conferred on the governor so as to strengthen the ability to act in this regard. State government should be given powers to establish state centers for disease control and appoint directors to work with the NCDC as its subnational unit. Currently, we do work with NCDC. They're very connected effectively with states, but that is not legal. It's just administrative, and I think it's important for us to begin to do this in a legal manner without necessarily reinventing the wheel. The discretionary powers of the President and the Director General of the NCDC should be reviewed with the aim of spreading same among the authorities of the three tiers of government. This would ensure that everyone is adequately involved in the efforts to confront any outbreak of an infectious disease. 4 provisions like Section 21(5) that are inconsistent with the Constitution should be expunged, and they are without more unlawful and cannot stand proper scrutiny. In any case, it is trite in law that the Constitution supersedes other regulations, and anything that is in conflict with it cannot stand. As we thank the Honorable Committee for this privilege to express our concerns and views on this matter, the Nigerian Governors Forum avails itself of the opportunity to renew to the Honorable Speaker and the House of Representatives the assurance of our highest consideration, and to also reassure you that we are constantly working with the NCDC and other experts in this area. We have a whole team in the Nigerian Governors Forum. Our health desk is full of experts, and we're willing to share them with the experts in the House of Representatives and the distinguished Senate Committee on Health in order for us to come out with a much more robust law at the end of the day. I thank you for this opportunity on behalf of all my colleagues, and want to reassure you that we're partners for progress and for the deepening of this engagement and preparation against all future pandemics. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so very much, Your Excellency. That was a very elaborate presentation. You are truly an intellectual in service. Thank you, sir. May I invite also for his remark quickly the chairman of Northern Governors Forum and the governor of Plateau State, Governor Simon Lalong.
Then that is actually, MC, that is a good one. It's like the governors are represented and really through the chairman of the Nigeria's Governors Forum. And on that note, let me just briefly say a very big thank you to the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, by extension to each and every governor of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for the time you have had to come and share with us some of your experiences. Like I have whispered into your ears, let me whisper to the ears of the people here and even beyond, that by the presentation you made, it suffices to say that yes, as an institution, a legislative institution, we are quite aware that whatever we come to discuss or deliberate upon, reasons why we offer ourselves for public considerations of this nature is the fact that we have an inherent belief that we can be human in the course of our work. The belief that we can also share in the intelligence and the expertise of other people out there who are not necessarily members of the House of Representatives. Perhaps for reasons related to the cost of printing of posters, some of you decided not to come here and be members of the House of Reps. So that's the reason why we offer ourselves for public partnership, participation with people like you. And even with the presentations you have made, of course, most of them are professional and things we can also look at critically. I do not see us being very far away from each other, the position of the Governors Forum and the position of the National Assembly. But I have to say very emphatically that no matter what the cynicisms, no matter what the speculations, no matter what the spread of rumors, fake news, the leadership of this House under the able leadership of Right Honorable Femi Bajabiamila and other leaders as principal officers of the 9th House of Representatives. And I think by implication, the 360 membership of our great House of Representatives cannot and will not be distracted by this kind of cynicism. We must be allowed to do our work. We have said it publicly without any fear of contradiction that the fact remains that we are doing this in good faith. We don't have any self-serving interest. And that is why the Speaker, in his normal way, decided, oh, let's go for public hearing. Even if it was deliberate that we wanted not to go for public hearing, okay, you now say, humbly, let's go for public hearing. It might have been an oversight, or perhaps our zeal to really quicken this legislation process because of the pandemic we are in. I remember even the last time when we met with the officials of the PTF, with the SGF being the leader of that team, the DG, NCDC was also there. He did not have any trouble, and I don't want to believe he has any trouble with the bill except for some of the natural imperfections that you want to now come and share with us so that we come up with a fine legislation. Fine legislative framework that will govern this crisis in the public sector. We never envisaged that we could have what we call it COVID-19. We never envisaged that we will have this kind of thing, these modern diseases that just come and travel away, far away from the globe and come into Nigeria. And therefore, as a legislative institution, we must have to take our responsibility, stand to do what is right, irrespective of whatever distractions. We can't be distracted. That is the position of the leadership, and that is the position of the entire membership of the House of Representatives. It is my belief that the selection of each and every member you have seen here on this committee, the joint committee, was deliberately done and designed by the leadership of this House, believing in their capacity, respective capacity. Some of them have very relevant professional backgrounds. Some of them are medical doctors. Some of them are gurus in the areas of legislative, the likes of Udil, the likes of Goro, people like my brother here, who is my consultant on legislative matters, the member from Lagos State, my brother. These are people whom I believe putting all hands on deck, and in partnership with relevant sectors of our society, we will come up with a legislative framework that will be for the benefit of each and every member, each and every Nigerian, and for the general good of the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I want to once again, on behalf of the Speaker and the leadership of the House, thank you most profusely for being here with us and sharing with us in honesty and trust what you think this bill should be. And I hope every other person that is coming to make a similar presentation will please do that with an open mind. Open mind. We all have the trust of the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in our hands, in various capacities of public service. I thank you all for being here, and I want to extend once again the gratitude and the happiness of the leadership for the time you have found to be part of this very important deliberations. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, with that, I know you want to leave and join others at plenary, and of course, I have received that signal that also the governors want to leave. Before we allow them go, may I quickly invite the chairman of
The representative of the chairman sheds more light on the
Please say thank you to the Speaker, the governors, and every other person that is here before we move to the technical session of this hearing.
You are still watching the public hearing coming to you live on NTA on Infectious Diseases Bill. We have just listened to the representative of the Speaker House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, leader of the House, Alassane Ado Doguwa, on the effort put in place by the House to control any outbreak of infectious diseases. Anything that is in conflict with this effort, he said, could not stand. But this is where we come to the end of our live transmission of the program. On behalf of the entire crew, I'm Abdullahi Aminu, thanking you for your watching.
I wish to once again commend the frontline workers across the country who, on a daily basis, risk everything to ensure we win this fight. For those who got infected in the line of duty, rest assured that government will do all it takes to support you and your families during this exceedingly difficult period. I will also take this opportunity to assure you all that your safety, well-being, and welfare remains paramount to our government. I am using this opportunity to express our deepest condolences to the families of all Nigerians that have lost their loved ones as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our collective loss, and we share your grief.
Cock crew is going to be shot in the village, but later we want to discourage the urban migration. We want people to find the village attractive. That's why you hear the traffic never jams, don't cost much to buy some yams, and the neighbors say hello, and we'll always try to pull you up from down below. You can even hear the sound of the cock crow.
Akili, 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 akili. Will you wash your hands with me? I want to wash my hands with you. Come on, I will show you what to do. Wash your hands in clean water. Wash your hands, wet them with the water. Wash your hands, now add some soap. Scrub your hands in the soap and water. Scrub above and below between the fingers too. Scrub under your nails and scrub-a-dub-a-doo. Rinse your hands.